Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given. Joined as always by my dear friend John Cooper Paz of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great. It does, now that you just started talking there, it does sound like maybe you are using not your normal microphone.
Oh no! Oh no!
But while you figure that out, you should also definitely mute yourself because I am hearing an echo. Wonderful, wonderful technical difficulties that we always have on this show. Still waiting on the George Soros check to come in so we can hire a producer for ourselves. Yeah, I definitely heard that, TJ.
How's that?
That's way better.
Okay,
way better.
Cool.
Absolutely
I accidentally unplugged the mic before we started and plugged it back up and turned the mic back on, but it was the external mic the internal mic. I didn't get to turn the regular one on. Yeah, it's been a busy week for me, so kind of Rusty kind of just sat down in the chair and said, "Let's go," throwing it all together. But it happens. I say that as if this doesn't happen normally anyway, where I fuck up. So
a little inside baseball here, guys. So as you know, we get funded by all of the Jewish Democratic cabal leaders out there, but unfortunately they're so busy funding the protests in Minnesota that they've cut our funding. So that's obviously an issue. So thank you very much for any support that you can give us.
It is a sacrifice we are more than willing to make. Colby on it again. TJ, why are you dressed for a daytime Diddy party? I was going for a more Angel of Light type thing, but okay, Diddy party.
I love that you got the matching white watch too. That's what really makes the outfit.
It makes it pop, yeah, and everything like that. You do what you can do and everything. It's a time for celebration because we got to see a wonderful performance by our favorite Attorney General. I challenge you to name 5 better Attorney Generals than one Pamela Bondi, either for the state of Florida or for the federal government. I can't think of one.
Well, let's start right there because the Pam Bondi congressional hearing, let me tell you, I don't know if you guys who just started following politics during the Trump administration are aware of this, but congressional hearings are typically boring as shit. It is very rare where I'm setting an appointment to make sure that I'm available to get all the clips from a congressional hearing testimony. That usually happens 3 times during a presidential administration, and I feel like we've gotten it so many times already where there's just bombshell after bombshell in these hearings. This one, however, might have been the most circus act of a congressional hearing I have ever seen in my life. Would you agree that this is so far the peak, DJ?
So I don't know. I think I have a slightly different Colby already saw the video I made. Colby says TJ wants them to not be televised. So I made a video about Pam Bondi 10 minutes ago, and I was saying that I think it is high time we just end televised congressional hearings and inquiries like this because, generally they're not as crazy as Pam Bondi's, but they are also little more than thinly veiled attempts to gain clout and to grandstand. And I was pointing that if you watch these hearings, they start with the members of Congress going on a 10-minute speech. Just, dressing down the witness and acting like a tough guy just so they can farm clout for commercials and social media and get on the news. This isn't new. This stuff happens all the time, and I find it pretty obnoxious because this is a serious matter. People want to get to ostensibly, people are trying to get to the bottom of an issue here. And I think that these things should be treated the same way they treat Supreme Court procedures. That look, we have a problem. We want to solve it here. If you want to find out what happened, feel free to read the transcript. It's all there. No one's going to hide anything from you. There's transparency. But I don't like the fact that we're spending God knows how much taxpayer money on recording these people for their vanity so that they get a good clip for the nightly news. I find that pretty obnoxious. Pam Bondi is a rather egregious example of this, but it is a continuing problem that I've noticed over the years.
So I agree with you to a certain extent and disagree with you. I do agree with you that because it is televised, it is not necessary. The reason everyone is there is not to get to the bottom of whatever issue they're trying to get to the bottom of. It is political theater. However, I'm going to put a couple of caveats there. One, we do have the ability to have private congressional testimony under oath, especially before committees like this one. It's possible they can choose to do so if they want to. Obviously, the ability to televise it, the politicians might always take that, but it does happen, right? And second, here is why
Sorry.
I titled this Pam Bondi Must Be Prosecuted. Because you're right. If this is just allowed to happen and there's no consequences for it, this is just a circus act. There's absolutely nothing of value going on here. But she is under oath.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, John. I'm so sorry. Oh God, this is the worst performance I've ever had. Give me 1 second, John. I'm so sorry.
I'll just continue. I'll continue as if TJ's room isn't falling apart around him. But if they just let this go, it's just circus. It's just theater. There's no reason for it. But she's out there lying under oath to an obnoxious degree and an easily verifiable degree. Like, I forget, what's his last name? I forget what his last name was. But one of the Democratic congressmen, who I'll get to in a minute once I look it up, he called her out straight up for lying under oath when she said that there's no evidence that Donald Trump committed any crimes. Which one was it?
Ted Lieu.
Ted Lieu, that's it. And there was... That's what they need to do. Like, once the DHS is the DHS again and not Trump's pansy team, they need to prosecute Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and all of these lies under oath during congressional hearing to the fullest extent of the law, because it should be easily provable that they are lying. And I think there's going to be a lot more easily provable stuff, by the way, once they lose control of the DHS. But like, Pam Bondi is signing her own judicial warrant to have herself arrested and thrown in prison for a very long time. If Democrats have the balls to actually do it, which, by God, that's a whole other question, but they should. Like, wouldn't you agree, like, maybe I'm wrong here, but she's fucked, right? Like, if the Democrats decide they're not going to protect her, she's utterly fucked.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. And just to explain what happened here, Wolfie came into the room and he was yelling. He was knocking shit over. I was trying to push him out of the room, which just made things worse. And so, yeah, I'm blaming the cat. That's right. So anyway... Yeah, I don't necessarily agree, because I hear a lot of people saying that Pam Bondi has essentially, tanked her political future. She signed her death warrant because anybody, any halfway reasonable person, conservative, liberal, otherwise, will say, all right, that's a bit much. That seems insane. But Pam Bondi is doing the same thing that a lot of, OAN and Newsmax and Fox News hosts. They're playing for an audience of one, Donald J. Trump. And since she went up there and kissed Trump's ass the entire time, that's going to be seen as a success. As for her crimes and her lying, we've mentioned Pam Bondi is way out ahead of everybody when it comes to committing crimes and everything. But let's say the Democrats do gather something up to try to convict her of perjury or something. Trump's just going to pardon her. Like that Trump will pardon her.
The statute of limitations doesn't last 4 years, TJ. Like, once.
What do you mean the statute of limitations? Like, once Trump says that, hey, like Joe Biden pardoned Hunter preemptively, he's going to do the same.
He'll mass pardon them. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I don't see any reason he wouldn't do that. And so
no, TJ, I'll give you exactly the reason he wouldn't do that, because he doesn't give a fuck about them, TJ. Why would he do that? They're not useful to him anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, would that surprise you that if Donald Trump said, hey, I'm going to do that, it wouldn't shock me at all. I think the odds are better that he would than he wouldn't. So I'm not going to hang my hat on, we're going to get Pam Bondi because Trump's going to hang her out to dry. Maybe, but I'm certainly not confident in that whatsoever. Pam Bondi had a rousing success last night or yesterday when she did her testimony, because she kissed Trump's ass. She told him how great he was. She bragged about the stock market. Hilarious clip. Yeah, she sold her dignity and it looked absurd, but that's what Donald Trump likes. So yeah, I don't think she is going. She might lose her job. Maybe like she will end up being a political millstone around the neck of the Trump campaign. He'll cut her loose. Yeah, that might happen, but I don't think she's going to jail.
I cannot. The title of this segment is not Pam Bondi will be prosecuted, TJ. Let's be very clear about that. The title I've given to the segment is Pam Bondi must be prosecuted. You're right. I guess he could pardon her, and that would, I guess, sink the whole ship. Like he could just pardon everyone on his way out the door.
Yep.
And I don't know what legal ramification, like what legal avenues we would have to prevent that or
none
practically change that. So you are right about that. I guess he does have the power to do so, but if he doesn't do it Oh, that's a really tough question. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Because now I'm thinking like, well, they could remove him if he threatened to do that. But once he does it, it's way quicker to sign that pardon
yep.
paper. He can do it in the moments before he is impeached, and it would be, I imagine, legally binding. So, I guess that's true. States could try her. I guess perjury in front of Congress wouldn't
Federal
be
crime. That's not a
be a
state crime.
federal
Yeah.
crime. But the crimes that she's covering up for could, I don't know.
I
That
don't.
is, they are all federal. Wow, dude, I
Yeah.
really hate that you're bringing this to my attention
No.
because it kind of blew the rest of the segment. That
No. No. Well, no. It's just that so Trump is famous for hanging people out to dry. He does it all the time, and what kind of turned me on this is that I did not think, rather foolishly, I did not think Trump would pardon the J6ers. I didn't think he would because their usefulness was done. He was reelected. These poor saps, these suckers and rubes who stormed the Capitol for him. What good could they possibly do him? None. And he pardoned them anyway. So I think that he could sign the pardon tonight and seal it and say whenever I leave office, unseal these documents. Boom, pardon. No one would even know until he was gone. And granted, he might not. Maybe he'll fuck her over. I'm not sure, but. I am not confident that Pam Bondi will see a prison cell. She might lose her job. I think it's as far as it's going to go, though.
TJ, I really, really hate how right you are because it actually makes perfect sense. If you look at Pam Bondi's testimony today and Lyons, I forget his first name, Todd Lyons, maybe, the actual director of ICE, his testimony today was way more defensive and making sure he doesn't put his ass in the jackpot than Pam Bondi, who went out there just guns a-blazing, not seemingly without a care in the world for the rule of law. And that would indicate that some of Trump's cabinet members might already have a sealed pardon awaiting them. And that would be wonderful for Trump, who can then hold that over their head for the rest of his term to make them do whatever he wants. That all makes so much sense. And it's something that Trump would be smart enough to do because it's his bread and butter. So that is, wow. Yeah, you're right. They're all getting off. I've just been thinking, oh, she's fucked. She's so fucked. There's so much fucked about this. I guess, TJ, the only thing is like, can you pardon? I really don't know the answer to this question. Can you pardon someone non-specifically for crimes? Like,
So Colby kind of brought this up. Colby says that might be one where you could challenge the Supreme Court and they might flip it. They won't. They won't because preemptive pardons have. Am I frozen? Preemptive. Can you hear me, John?
I can hear you. You're
okay. All right, preemptive pardons, because the example I think of would be Ford. Ford pardoned Nixon, although Nixon had never been convicted of a crime. Nixon never went to trial for anything. It was just the Watergate stuff happened. Nixon thought he was going to be impeached, resigned, and Ford said, I'm putting a pardon on Nixon. Nixon had never been convicted for shit. So yeah, there's precedent. I don't know what the Supreme Court would say, that no, you can't preemptively pardon someone. It's been done before, but you can't do it. That's not something the Supreme Court is known to do. Go ahead.
I wish that we had a lawyer on this show to walk this through because there's a couple different questions there. One, was Ford's pardon a gambit? Was it actually legally binding? I don't know, but was it just, we're not going to prosecute, I already pardoned, what's the fucking point? And two, if he pardoned him for Watergate, if Nixon then went out and murdered someone, he would still be liable for those actions. So is it possible that Trump's pardoning isn't very legally sound? Because the Trump administration's legal acumen so far has been
that's true.
Utterly atrocious. I cannot believe how bad they are at this. And I have the lowest expectations possible. And they seemingly never fail to go underneath them. So how well are these pardons actually executed is a giant gray area.
That's true. That's true. The pardon would have to state what the pardon is for, right? So if he granted Pam Bondi a pardon, if she committed another crime where they found something else that wasn't covered in what was mentioned, she'd be liable for that. I can see the Trump administration fucking this up by pardoning Pam Bondi but misspelling her name or something like that, and so they nail her because or get the wrong middle name or something, and so it just technically doesn't apply.
They accidentally pardoned Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, I can see that happening, but no, I just and here's the thing: Biden did this too. Because Biden pardoned a whole bunch of people on the way out the door. He pardoned Hunter, but Hunter had been convicted of a gun charge or something. But I think he pardoned other people in his administration because Merrick Garland and Fauci. I think he pardoned a bunch of people saying, "I don't want Trump to come after these folks," and now Trump can't touch them. I don't know how the Supreme Court could overturn that. Kobe says, John, I can't believe you're making the argument that the next Democratic president shouldn't just go after them anyways. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm all for pushing the envelope here and bucking institutions, but if someone has a presidential pardon for specific action, what are you going to do to charge them with that action? I don't know. There's not a court in the world.
They can go after them. They can get a grand jury to indict, I'm sure, but it's probably not going to. They should do it anyway. Even if there's only a 0.2% chance they might be successful, they should use the full weight of the law against every possible member of the Trump administration. But I don't know if it'll be successful. What TJ's saying is, unfortunately, I hate to admit it, very true. And really the only hope that we would have if Trump decided to go down that route, which now that TJ said it, seems like
Trump's going to hear.
Likely he already has. Looking hindsight 2020 here. The only hope is that he fucked it up, which is a large hope, or that he just says "fuck you, Pam, I hate you," and you're going down with the ship. Those are all potential possibilities. Trump can't pardon himself though.
Yeah, that one would be a little shakier legally. That hasn't happened before, and it sounds kind of ridiculous.
I'm sure he would actually try to do.
He probably would.
I would love to see that happen. I would love to watch that happen because it probably will. TJ, let's be perfect. Let me just play this out for you.
Okay.
At some point, they will no longer control the DHS. They will no longer control the FBI. They will have all of the files. And there will be mass pressure on them to figure out what went on here. And they're going to unredact them. And they are going to see all the shit. And so at that point, there seems to be only a couple options available to them. One, don't reveal them, which would be political fucking suicide for any Democratic administration. Or two, reveal them. And you see everything all the stuff that they redacted illegally. And then at that point, you have to go after them. And that just has to be the sequence of events. Maybe Trump pardoned them, but you're going to get Trump because he can't pardon himself in that case, right? This doesn't seem all that crazy for me because obviously massive crimes were committed under Donald Trump's direction. It's probably not difficult to prove. You probably just have to look at their fucking text messages. They're probably dumb enough to text each other about this. It seems to me that I know that this is Pam Bondi must be prosecuted because we haven't gotten to Trump's part in this yet. But even if he does pardon Pam Bondi, he cannot pardon himself. There's no fucking way that's going to hold up in the Supreme Court. And I see you smirking. Maybe
I don't.
But at least if it does, TJ, at least they fucking did it. At least they can prove he fucking did it, and he might not go to prison. But at least they fucking prove it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would be amazed if there was the political will to go after Trump legally. I'd be shocked if that happened. I mean, because we had the opportunity to do this for 4 years where they could have nailed Trump's ass to the wall. He was actually convicted of shit. I just don't think that they have it in them. Yeah, after everything they've seen, even after everything Trump has done, I don't think that they're going to actually go after a president of the United States. That's just not what we do, unfortunately. And as for the actions of the cronies, yeah, sure, maybe you can go after those folks too. But once again, where's the will for this? Where's the will to actually go after these people? I don't see it. I would love that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, TJ, I respect your opinion. We're disagreeing hard on this one.
Okay.
For those, I see we got 52 people in the audience right now. Probably a lot of them are new. TJ and I don't disagree on much. We actually find that we agree on things that are totally unrelated to politics very often. This is a point that I think I'm going to disagree harder with.
Okay.
Because the political will is there. the entire Epstein case is something that Americans do care about. It's not like, say, Gaza, where we care a lot about it, and people should care a lot about it, but we've been proven time and time again, at the end of the day, when it comes to foreign policy, just Americans really don't give a shit en masse. But for something like this, a massive pedophile ring that spans hundreds of rich and powerful people, that's something that sells headlines. That's something that sells the papers. That's something that gets clicks. That's something that people will care and do care about. You see how much people are caring about it. You see how much they got the Epstein files released. You're right. We could have prosecuted Trump before, and we technically did, but not hard enough. We could have released the Epstein files before, and we didn't. But now we did. The political will is clearly different now. So you're right. I could totally see a president go like the Ford route of, oh, we're going to be, but I don't think you can do that with a pedophile. Like, I don't think you can do, like, at least with the Ford thing, it was like, oh, we're doing something respect and decorum. That doesn't really work if we see in the Epstein files that Trump, especially if Trump actually, did the deeds. There's just no way that anyone could possibly sit there and pardon him for that. It's just impossible. And so my question is, can a Democrat win the primary without promising to prosecute Trump? And I don't think the answer is yes to that. I think whoever wins the primary, they have to say, I'm going to prosecute Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Cash Patel to the fullest extent of the law. I think that's going to be a base level campaign requirement for winning the Democratic primary.
I think that would be helpful, the Democratic primary. I do. I think that would be a great thing to say. And I also go on record saying that the Democrats should promise to do things they know they can't do, because the Republicans do it and it works. For example, we mentioned a couple of shows ago that it should be the standard line for every Democrat running in the country that they want to abolish ICE. Now, it doesn't matter that they probably can't abolish ICE. I got that. But the Republicans run on abolishing the Department of Education. They've done so for 40 years or so, and they can't do it, but they weaken it. So that I say go for that and everything. But there's a lot of ifs involved here with prosecuting Trump and everything. And you brought up the biggest if is there a smoking gun in these Epstein files? I'm actually kind of tired of hearing about ancillary stuff in the Epstein files that don't point directly to a crime. Let me know when you have something that is a rock solid case. And of course, I know that's difficult with redactions and the fact that they haven't released all this shit. I got it, but it's kind of frustrating how much I keep hearing about this stuff when it doesn't really lead anywhere. So if there is like a whatever would count as, overwhelming evidence that Trump committed some sort of crime in there, all right, maybe then. But until that happens, I can't speak one way or the other about it.
Yeah, and I mean, so here's the thing. I know we've kind of disagreed on this a little bit, but I think there's no fucking way there isn't really bad shit. But and I've said this before, the reaction that Donald Trump's team has given to this, that Republicans have given to this, if there was no smoking gun in there, it wouldn't be so secretive. You wouldn't see just pages and pages and pages of redactions that are clearly fucking illegal if it wasn't to protect someone or something. And I can't imagine anyone who has the power or influence to create that protection for themselves other than Donald J. Trump. And maybe, I think that the most likely he gets off thing here is that, there isn't actually anything in there and he's just embarrassed by it or something. But, again, I would actually not be surprised. I think I've said this before. I would not be surprised if Donald Trump didn't actually participate in any of the child sex trafficking himself. I feel like a lot of people are very convinced of that, and I am not. We will see. I would love to be wrong about that because fuck that guy, but I don't know if that's the case. I do know that he was fucking buddy with Epstein and in these circles and participating in them in some way, shape, or form. But this guy doesn't fucking drink, bro. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is kind of the squeaky clean guy as far as we know when it comes to the transgressive behaviors, the sex stuff and the drinking and drugs. He hasn't really gone too far down that rabbit hole in his career. He's done a hell of a lot of other bad shit, but that is not what Donald Trump is known for. You're smirking at me.
John, He was
forgetting something here?
he was convicted of rape. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. Yeah, TJ, like that. But like that's like okay. Let me recant my statement there. Let me rephrase what I say. Yes, he was convicted of rape. I don't consider like rape is like not a party thing to me. Like that happens in so many different contexts with so many different reasons. It's not the classic like rock star gets in trouble for doing a bunch of illegal shit kind of activity. That might be involved in it, but like Donald Trump hasn't been known to be I'll put it this way. Donald Trump wasn't snorting cocaine off of fucking toilet seats like RFK was. You know, like that maybe he was, but that has not been his shtick. So I'm just saying I could believe that he didn't actually fuck a child, right? I could believe that. What I can't believe is he wasn't aware of it, didn't assist Epstein with a bunch of other stuff while he knew he was doing it, didn't like help with like he was involved. I'm just saying I'm not fully confident that he actually fucked a child, is what I'm saying. He could have. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Okay, or at least if there was no smoking gun that he did in the records. And exactly. With his name being mentioned as often as it is, did I hear that right? That there was 1 million references to Donald Trump in the files. That sounded like
someone said that. TJ,
okay, I haven't seen that. Okay,
it was one of the Democratic congressmen, and I heard that, and I didn't like go and look. I just assumed it was hyperbolic because that's a large number. That's just such like I know there's a lot of files, and I think it is theoretically possible, but it just seems statistically unlikely. If you told me 100,000 times, I'd be more likely to believe you. 1 million is a big number.
Yeah. Then again, I don't know how many files there are. So but I heard that. Yeah. So his name being brought up as often as it is, you'd think that there's something there. I don't know. And like John said, it very well could be something that, hey, he's covering up for a buddy. Or he knew this was going on and didn't do anything about it. Maybe he doesn't want that out there. He does act like a guilty guy, but I don't like looking forward to a hypothetical based on another hypothetical. So, and if we find something, sure. But then again, I mean, everything we've seen about Trump so far, this is the part that gets me. I said this a long time ago with the Epstein stuff that I think when I first mentioned this was when the letter came out, that weird letter he wrote to Jeffrey Epstein for his birthday.
The picture one.
Yeah. Is that everyone acted like this was some sort of bombshell news, and I didn't give a fuck. I was like, okay, there's nothing here of any value, especially when you consider what we already know Donald Trump has said and done. That this guy, as we mentioned, he's already been found civilly liable of rape. Which sounds weird to say. I like saying convicted; it's easier, but I get it.
I have to like twist my tongue into this terminology to be.
Yeah, correct. It's a weird term. Yeah, I don't like it.
And it's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. This guy, he bragged publicly that when he owned the Teen Miss USA pageant, that he would walk in on the dressing rooms of these 14 and 15-year-old girls. Like, he liked doing it. How many times we have on video multiple instances of him talking about how hot his daughter is. He talked about his baby, what's her name? Tiffany Trump, when she was a baby, saying, yeah, the other one is like, I hope she has huge tits just like her mom. This guy is vile and disgusting. Still, I still 40% approval rating, John. 40% approval rating. So look, I can't imagine what would be such a ironclad, rock solid case in these files that isn't going to have a good 25-30% of the country still rooting for him. And this is the big problem here. The big problem is that the Republican Party is Donald Trump right now. And like, if you go after Trump, it is going to be going after the entire Republican Party, which is a big deal. Like that is half the nation's politicians right there. They're not going to go down without a fight. You're going to try to take down one of the two major political. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea, but I don't think it'll work. I don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, I'd like to, but when I see what's in front of me right there, I'm not confident in that whatsoever.
So TJ, like there's so much of me that wants to agree with you. The person who is cynical and has lived this life in the United States of America for the past 29 years says, yeah, you're right. Nothing will fundamentally change. The Biden campaign promise of nothing will fundamentally change is the greatest campaign promise that any politician has ever delivered because it most accurately sums up what our political system is. However, I cannot fathom a world in which this particular thing doesn't move the needle at all. Like, you're right, it would be wild to go after the entire Republican Party, but like, it really to me it depends on what the fuck is in the files, right? Because you're right, if what is in the files is synonymous with all of those other things that you just said, I have been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that America just doesn't give a fuck. America doesn't give a fuck. I cannot believe how much they don't give a fuck. So the obvious logical conclusion of that line of thought is, well, it doesn't matter what is in those files. America's still not going to give a fuck. But I don't know. There must be some line at which America gives a fuck. And I just cannot fathom a world in which what is actually in there is fully released. All of those redactions that are clearly covering up something get out there and nothing happens. I just cannot believe that anyone who is then connected with that level of toxicity will ever see the light of day again in American politics. It does seem like something. They have gone so far over their skis that it does seem like something that could crumble the Republican Party if they continue to ride down that hill. Like, again, it is a big, you're right, I don't know how to like say it without knowing what the fuck is in those redactions, but if what is in those redactions is what we all think it is, do you think I'm crazy? Do you really think that if it's, fucking rock solid smoking gun proof, like pictures of Donald Trump fucking diddling kids, like what, like, do you really think that doesn't actually get moved upon? Because I think that there's no fucking way. If for example, going back to Pam Bondi here, we find that Pam Bondi gave an order to fucking cover up pictures of Donald Trump diddling kids, or directions of Donald Trump to kill fucking Jeffrey Epstein, or whatever it is that is being redacted in these files, do you really think that she doesn't face legal consequences? And obviously the pardon thing is, let's put that to the side. But like, even just political animals, like anyone touching that, I feel like it's political radioactivity. Like, there's no way anyone can survive that, even knowing what we know.
Well, I mean, if they found a record in there of, Pam Bondi saying something like directing a murder, like we mentioned, yeah, of course, that the pardon wouldn't cover that. It would just cover her actions leading up to the investigation and everything. But yeah, what you were talking about, if there was some sort of absolute proof that Trump did something illegal, like, molested a child or whatever, do I think that he would absolutely face punishment? No, I don't. I genuinely don't, John. I don't. Then again, it was funny when you mentioned how, it's you just can't fathom being in a universe based on, your life experience in the country and everything. Give it a few years. I think it's just, I don't know, like maybe when you're as old as me, you might be so jaded to the point that nope, actually that does make sense. I have lost complete confidence in this shit, John. I don't, because so much is riding on this, right? I go back to the whole Republican Party thing, that if you have, the Republican Party is a cult right now. It's a complete cult that is, it's based on the will of one person. And we want millions of people and thousands of politicians to admit, oh yeah, actually we were wrong about this guy. Not only were we wrong, but our God was wrong in all this. I think that's a bigger ask than them saying, no, actually he didn't do it. I don't care what the files say. I just don't give a fuck. They do it all the time. They do it every single day. Every time, it's like that meme where it says, I'd like to see Donnie wriggle his way out of this, and then Donnie wriggles his way out of it and said, nevertheless, and Trump is going to be dead eventually anyway. I think that they're just going to wait for the guy to die. It's a lot easier than going after literally every conservative in the nation. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
I get it. I just want to address this one comment here from Patriot Moss 4964, who says, too much cursing, hard to follow. I really do want to apologize. If you hear me say the word, the phrase, the president of the United States fucked children, and your problem with that statement is the use of the word fuck instead of intercourse with children, that's an issue. I'm sorry. Like when we're talking about these topics, it really gets me heated when people are like, "Oh, we have the core." I'm like, we're talking about genuinely one of the worst crimes in history. Like, this is up there. Outside of like crimes against humanity, this is like all the way at the fucking top of the worst crimes that we know about. It's insane. Like, it's just hundreds, if not thousands, who fucking knows, children just raped, constantly by the most rich and powerful people in the world, and then the cover up for that going all the way to the Oval Office is just, and all the fucking Republicans in Congress getting behind it. It's just, it's the I cannot imagine a worse scandal, TJ. Like we say this all like, oh, if Watergate happened today, it wouldn't matter, and that's true. But like, this is like, if this happened then, it would have started a fucking war. Like you know what I mean? Like, this is the most. If you had to write a script and come up in a lab with the most salacious scandal to rock a presidency, this would be it. Like, this is what the Hollywood writers would come up with, and it would sound unbelievable, and yet it is real life. So you're right, TJ. Maybe I'm young and naive, and I just don't believe that such bad things could happen. And they have. Well, so you're right. But god damn, TJ. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to keep moving forward if I have to believe that.
I don't want to believe it either, but you got to see like what's right in front of your eye. What was it yesterday or the day before that the FBI came out with their statement saying that we looked over all the documents and it turns out Jeffrey Epstein was not in charge of an international child sex trafficking ring. We've been wrong about it the whole time. They officially released that from Trump's FBI. Pam Bondi said the same thing a few months ago, saying we looked over all the files and there's nothing there. There's nothing at all. And then the Trump administration fights tooth and nail to hide the files from the public, even after Congress passed a resolution saying that they had to do it. They're still dragging their feet on releasing it. They're very openly and obviously redacting Donald Trump's name from these files. They even released a file that had just a picture with him in the background. He wasn't even doing anything bad. He just happened to be in the background. They took that picture down because it included Donald Trump. And Republicans do not give a fuck at all. I mean, at all, John. So, yeah, some of them will whine and complain about it. They say, I don't like the way Trump is handling the Epstein stuff, but they still support him. Like, his numbers of Republicans are still sky high. They like his 30-40% of the country that really like him aren't going anywhere. If they haven't moved by now, I don't think a document from 15, 20 years ago saying, oh yeah, my name is Donald Trump and I definitely had sex with this 12-year-old girl, and they're like, oh, he was just trolling, he's just messing around, or that picture, sure, she
Mike
looks.
Johnson won't hear about it for the next 60 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. There's a picture of him fondling that kid, but he said that she was 19, and I believe him. John, I just don't see any universe in which they accept this evidence one way or the other. So yeah, I until I see something that gives me hope that they'll change from that, but I don't. If you voted for Trump 3 times, you voted for Trump 2016, 2020, 2024, you're gone. It's over. Like, Trump could literally do anything he wanted, and you're going to follow him. Like, the guy has set up a cult, and they're going to worship him to the day he dies. And when he does die, they're going to say it's some sort of conspiracy, even though he's 100 years old, that someone came out for their boy. He was too close. The guy admitted to having classified documents in his house after he was president, showing it to random people. Kid Rock, we got to get to him too. He showed it to Kid Rock. I just remember that. I don't know if you know that, John, but that was one of the people that he showed like battle plans against the Iranian military. He's showing it to just random civilians. They heard him on tape saying, said, nope, he's innocent. I don't believe him. I don't believe that he did anything wrong. Until they prove that they can think critically, I will not accept their ability to think critically.
So let me throw one last argument at you here, TJ.
Sure.
So you're right. Like, the congressional Republicans, besides Thomas Massie, which I just have to say, I hate having to root for Thomas Massie. I absolutely loathe the fact that Thomas Massie is on the right side of history here, because he's a shithead. And yet he's doing it. So at least props to him for that. But you're right. The congressional Republicans are in lockstep. The Republican Party and media ecosystem in general is in lockstep. But Republicans are getting their dicks handed to them in every fucking election. And when I say their dicks handed to them, I'm not talking about like, oh, they lost some elections. They are like going minus 15 to 30 in every fucking election. If you look at the 2024 election results in the district of whatever election you're looking at, on average, you are seeing minus 15 to 30 in just a year of Trump's presidency. Is there a number that we could put out in the 2026 election that would make you think maybe not? That would make you think maybe things are different this time? If Trump is underwater minus 30 in the midterms in it across the nation, comparing 2024 election results to 2026 election results, if Republicans are down 30 fucking points, do you think that maybe you might be wrong about your predictions here? Like, what is there any sort of tangible evidence but besides I'll see it when it happens, I'll believe it when it happens. Like, is there anything that could change your mind about the possibility of there being actual fucking change going on?
No, there isn't. And here, I'll tell you why. Because I had a conversation with someone at work last week about this very thing. That he mentioned that Republicans are getting, their asses kicked. They are getting crushed. They've never been less popular. And the midterms, they all know that they're going to be massacred. Every Republican knows this, And so he said, well, you'd think they'd turn on Trump now because you had that district in Texas that I think that's what you were talking about, John. It was like plus 13 Trump, and it ended up going blue. And so, well, why are they still backing Trump when he's going to be a pull on them in the general election? Yeah, they know that. But if they go against Trump, they're never going to make it to the fucking general election. It's like the Republican Party, like the people, like the rubes, the jug hooting racists that they need to vote for them, they are still Trumpers. Like it doesn't matter if the nation as a whole rejects Trump, the Republican Party still loves and embraces him. So as long as that's happening, they're going to stay loyal to Trump. Like think about Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie is he's a rare exception here. A lot of the ones who, like Nancy Mace, signed the petition to, or the vote. So she voted to release the Epstein file. I think Lauren Boebert did too, and everything. But you don't hear them. They're not going guns blazing at this like Thomas Massie is. They don't have the courage that he does. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she went up against Trump, dropped out, fucking quit, because they know if you become too loud and too boisterous against Trump, you will pay a price amongst the Republican electorate. So knowing that, it won't matter if the Republicans get massacred, because the cult is not for the Republican Party. The cult is for Donald Trump. So I think that Trump is going to take the party down. I know that. I'm fully confident of that. I think you're right. But I don't think that he is going to suffer anything from his actual base.
And unfortunately, I do believe that is true to a certain extent. From the like, they're going to stick with, like, if they've stuck with them this far.
Yep.
Why not continue to stick with him? Any other points on Pam Bondi? Because this does segue into another topic that I had, but definitely want to finish Bondi talk.
I hope Pam Bondi started a pretty good meme here in which you get cornered in a conversation, like someone has you dead to rights, and you just start saying the Dow was at 50,000. I think that is hilarious. I wish I had the clip. I didn't have time to pull up clips, but I wanted to pull that one up where they ask her about Epstein, and then I think her response was, you didn't ask this question to Merrick Garland. The Democrats had years to talk about this. You know why? Donald Trump, the Dow is 50,000. Like this, like three different sentences all together that didn't match at all. Then she started going on about the Dow and the S&P and everything. And my favorite part about that is when someone, I didn't hear it, but in the background, someone must have asked, what does the Dow have to do with this? And she was incredulous, John. She said, what do you mean the Dow has nothing to do with? Oh, you got it? All right.
I got it.
Okay.
First, he brought up the president saying they indicted me twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice. And you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. All they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them ask Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Amazing. The are you kidding? I love that. I do have to say one thing too. We're fair here on the left wing. We give the devil his due. Trees Top, I 100% agree. That stock trader line it was funny. It was funny. I don't think it was almost funny. That was, especially like she did have to reference her burn book to go for it, but to say, "Oh, you're a pretty good stock trader, Nadler." I thought that was a good line. It was the only shining star moment I think for Bondi that entire time.
That was a good line. Like
it was.
I will say I will give Bondi that at the very least. That was a good line. We are always supportive of calling out fucking congressional hypocrisy on stock trading. They do insider trading all the fucking time, and it's ridiculous that we should allow them to hold any sort of stocks. That is dumb. But yeah, it's insane. Like you're right, TJ. You're right. I don't know how anyone can like see that and be like, it's so bad. It's so obviously bad. Like it's one of those things where it's like the reasonable Republican. There's no reasonable defense of this. It's so like everyone is clowning on this because we all see how fucking hilarious it is. Even like the women behind her there, which I don't know if they specifically were Epstein survivors. I think at least the one on the left was, I could be wrong about that, but they were smiling and laughing at that because it's how else do you respond to in the middle of questioning about Epstein's pedophile island? She's like, the Dow is up $50,000. What do you mean this has nothing? What do you mean the Dow being up $50,000 has nothing to do with this? Like, oh my God, it is so funny. And if you sit here and tell me that you don't think that's funny, I think you're lying. You're lying. I think it's funny, and I also think it's horrendous. That's how funny it is. So it's crazy to me that anyone could like. How do you support, if you even claim to be any sort of reasonable? How do you support what's going on? I can get your support of authoritarian measures from ICE. I can understand it. I can conceptually understand why one would support that. I get it. There's just nothing here that you can possibly look at, like, unless you are like a pedophile advocate. Like, there's no possible good reason for any of this to be happening. There's no good reason that Pam Bondi hasn't met with a single fucking Epstein survivor. There's no good reason why the hundreds of files of like emails sent from redacted of like, hey, here's a picture of an underage naked girl are redacted. There's no reason that we're seeing hundreds of pages redacted, just blanketed. Like, there's no reason that Pam Bondi should be coming to this hearing and just attacking every single time. Her answer was to attack the congressman asking the question. Every single time. She had a whole book of fucking retorts for these congressmen. There's no defense of this. So what the fuck are we doing here? And I guess, TJ, to circle all the way back to your point, and I see you smiling, you're right. You're right. Because if this doesn't get it done, if this doesn't make anyone in America go, well, that's fucked up, I don't know what will. You're right.
Well, John, you kept saying you can't think of a reason why people are okay with this. Like, have you forgotten the Dow is at 50,000, John? We just had a whole, she just gave a whole speech about this. I thought she was pretty clear that the Dow was at 50,000. And this obviously exonerates everything we're talking about here. And Treestop mentioned every Republican at my job thought that shit was empowering. They think protecting the status quo is more important than protecting children. I don't know if it's necessarily about protecting the status quo. It's about backing Donald Trump, right? And people who there are some Republicans who are mad at Pam Bondi. There always have been. She's never been like a very popular person from what I could tell with the Trump base. They've been mad at her ever since the first Epstein thing. Remember when she had that dog and pony show with all the conservative influencers with the binders and saying the Epstein files phase 1 and all that? They've been kind of on her ass ever since then. But they're mad at this, but they act like there's some sort of line of demarcation between Pam Bondi and Donald Trump. Like, they're acting like Pam Bondi is this independent entity who doesn't take direct orders from Donald Trump and do the big. She literally serves at the pleasure of the president, and they pretend that's not the case. So yeah, I think Republicans are more interested in backing Bondi because she's a representative of Trump, not necessarily backing Bondi. But that's just kind of ridiculous. Mark, I gotta say, Mark, good to see you here. Mark says we are fair here on the left wing. Did TJ just say that? Yeah, I mean, I like to think I'm fair.
I think we're pretty fair.
I think we're pretty fair.
I think if you look at like what we say, and
Yeah.
we have biases, of course, and as everyone
Oh,
does, but
I get it. Okay.
but I think that we're pretty fair in terms of we take the shots pretty consistently when we see them. Like, we're gonna take the shot, and we'll call funny. We'll say Pam Bondi hitting them with that stock trading line. It's good. We're fair here. We will call balls and strikes in that department, and we'll be biased. We'll be biased, but we're not gonna like sit here and tank Donald Trump for something we wouldn't tank Joe Biden for. We do. we take all comers here. We focus on our own political agendas for sure, and they are incredibly left leaning, hence the name of the show. But TJ, do you think we're incredibly?
I think you nailed it, John. I'm guessing if Mark's still here, he can tell us. But I think Mark was saying that we're not neutral, because people like to confuse neutrality and fairness, and that's not true. Like, yeah. I'm not going to be neutral on my political leanings. I'm going to make it very obvious, but I'm honest about them. Everything you say is going to come from some sort of bias. There's no such thing as a non-biased human being, or a non-biased thought, or a non-biased statement, or non-biased ideology. But just acknowledge it. That's all I ask. Just acknowledge it. So
Pronti BR says no one has been a bigger advocate of how funny Trump is than DJ. That is very true. You will see. We praise Donald Trump on this show. I would argue more than any other left-wing media platform.
Probably.
Like, we give Donald Trump his flowers so often for the things that he does incredibly well. None of them are like policy that improves Americans' lives, but he does do a lot of things at a high level of execution, and we give him those fucking flowers that I really don't see anyone in Democratic leaning circles ever do. And I think it's to the detriment of the Democratic Party, because there's so much that Donald Trump does that we should fucking copy because it works. And it's very upsetting to me when people are afraid to admit that.
Yeah, I can see, if you were a politician, why you wouldn't want to say, hey, that Trump guy is pretty funny, right? I got that. But I agree with you. You should copy it. You should learn, hey, this works, and you should kind of roll with it. I don't know. There's just something, I always tell people that if you're a lefty out there or a liberal and you say that Donald Trump isn't funny, I can't tell you what to find funny. That's your opinion or whatever. But if you're someone who says Trump isn't funny, I can guarantee you are not funny. That people who are funny, like someone who actually has the ability to make people laugh, recognized game. You understand what it takes to elicit a laugh out of someone. Most people can't do it. Most of you guys fucking suck at comedy. Most people are just terrible. I do this all. I've done this as a teenager. Whenever you're in a group or whatever, and someone tries to tell a joke and it just like falls apart, it's like, all right, how about we leave the jokes to TJ? Just like, don't just which always gets a laugh because I'm funny, right? I know what I'm doing. So yeah, when when I tell you that Donald Trump is funny, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I can't tell you how many times I've had liberals just jump down my throat. He's not funny. Are you saying racism and bigotry and sexism is funny? No, that's not what, I mean, sometimes it is, but no, that's not what I'm saying though. I'm saying that Donald Trump has great comedic timing and he knows what he's doing. He knows how to work a crowd, and I'm just acknowledging that. That doesn't mean he's a good person or a good politician.
I can disagree with the message of the statement being made and still grade the execution of the statement. Like those are two completely separate things. If a joke is funny, it's funny regardless of whether or not you agree with what the joke is saying.
Yes.
Those are two completely separate buckets. And it's really weird how much people struggle to differentiate them. And like that's one of those things that make me go like, as much as MAGA has no media literacy and Republicans have no media literacy, it's really, really bad. Most people in general just don't. Like it's just really, it shocks me how bad the Democratic side of the aisle is on media literacy, because there's more of us that know what the fuck is happening when they watch anything, but there's still fucking oceans of blue MAGA fucking I don't understand anything that's going on. I'm just going to do what they tell me.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point, because I think people have a hard time, because I have a hard time believing them. But I think they don't like to admit that something offensive is funny. And I get it. I get why you don't want to encourage offensive speech. I got it. But I also like honesty, man. I also like honesty. There's plenty of offensive shit that's really funny. And Colby says Donald Trump is the most confident man on the planet. Oh. And Trump is hilarious, sometimes unintentionally. So yes, sometimes unintentionally. I say it's 50-50, maybe even 70-30 intentional versus unintentional. There's plenty of unintentional just the way Trump looks like he's trying to be funny. You know how comedians, they'll have like giant mustaches or long hair to kind of look like clowns and everything. Trump dresses and acts and looks like a clown unintentionally. Mark says, anyway, did you see the Wall Street Journal article about Trump sending Starlink to Iran? What a great thing. I did not see that. And then Colby says,
I do want to address that for a second.
Sure. Yeah. Did you see it, John?
Because Mark, you're right. That is a good thing. That is a good thing. That should be done. I don't understand why the fuck it matters though, when again there's a massive pedophile ring cover up going on, and we just had a fucking congressional hearing about it. Like, why does that matter? Why he could solve world hunger, and I wouldn't give a flying fuck, and I'd still want him behind bars for what he did. Like, it's just like, that's the thing where I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. And you say, John, I wonder how you understand your pacifism in regards to Iran. Mark, I don't think you were here, but I've actually said that Iran in this current moment is one of the few situations where I would say military intervention.
He has said that, yeah,
is on the table for me. And I'm not saying I want that to necessarily be the outcome, but it's one of those situations where military intervention might be the thing that saves more lives and is necessary in order to whatever. Do I trust Trump and Pete Hegseth to be the ones commandeering that? Fuck no. But what Iran is doing right now is, I mean, it's always been reprehensible, but like it's particularly reprehensible right now. And it is a moment of weakness that regime change I hate saying these words, but regime change might actually work because you're at the point of kind of like no return. Like, for example, regime change worked in Nazi Germany, right? Like, regime change doesn't always not work. And so, yeah, like this is one of those situations where I might support military intervention despite my pacifism. So there you go, Mark. There you go.
I like that, John. No, I don't know. I laughed when you said that, regime change sometimes does work, because you feel bad saying it, but you shouldn't, right? You shouldn't. This is another thing.
We must admit it worked in America. Pretty sure it worked. It worked in Nazi Germany. It worked in Imperial Japan. There's a lot of situations where it has worked. It just hasn't worked well for the past couple of decades.
I'll tell you the first time I had this thought process, and this is just like my individual experience on this, but this was back during the early days of the war on terror, and the nation was debating torture, because Cheney and Bush had authorized what do they call it? Enhanced interrogation techniques. That's what they called it back in those days. And so they said that we need to torture people because we got to find this information. They're not just going to give it up on their own free will. And I remember the argument from the left, the argument from the Democrats back then was that we shouldn't torture because torture doesn't work. Because if you start torturing someone, they'll tell you anything you want to know. So that's kind of an unreliable way to find information. And I remember hearing that and it's like, I don't know, that seems like kind of a half-baked thought right there. Because yeah, that's true. If you torture someone, they'll tell you anything you want. However, if you're torturing intelligently, you're going to corroborate the information, right? If two people tell you wildly different things, like, okay, well, all right, one of these is false. We're going to find out where we're going to go here. And also, what they would also argue with this thing is that although we do understand, like they would always bring up like a ticking time bomb scenario. Like if there's a nuclear bomb is in New York City and one guy knows, would it be okay to torture then? And most people said, okay, yeah, if we have a situation like that, then I guess we should. And I thought, well, wait, I thought torture didn't work. I thought you told me torture did not work. You can't have it both ways. People keep trying to do this shit and it really bothers me. The truth is, torture does fucking work, okay? Of course it works. If someone sat you down and they needed information about, anything you had, and they started ripping out your fingernails, how long do you think you would last? You wouldn't last at all. You would give the information right away. Right away. Now, you could lie, but once they find out that you lied, they're going to come back and torture you again. So you might as well tell the truth. Torture obviously fucking works, and people don't like saying it. The reason we don't torture is because it's a violation of human rights. That's why we don't do it. I hate the argument torture doesn't work because it's absurd. So yeah, John, sometimes regime change does work. So just admit it. I applaud you, John. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
The torture doesn't work thing is always funny. It's a total aside here, but it's like, yes, if it didn't work, why has it been done so consistently throughout every
thousands of years? Okay,
it's like it works. Is it the most effective way to get what you want? That is a different question.
Yes,
but does it work? Has it led to the outcomes that it was intended to lead to? Yes, it has, or else we would have stopped doing it centuries ago.
Also, like torture is what's the word I'm looking for? It's a relative term. Like there are some things that you consider torture that others wouldn't. Like your standard police interrogation is a form of torture. Yeah. They sit you down, they isolate you, bright light in your face. They use psychological methods to make you uncomfortable. They seat you in positions to make you scared. That is torture, and it's done every time someone is arrested. So if you think torture doesn't work, then you're saying that these cops are, torturing people for no reason, which I wouldn't put beyond cops. But no, it's something that happens all the time. Hell, I don't know. It's just kind of people like to.
But I think that comes from the like Gitmo didn't work. Like you can look at Gitmo and say that torture didn't work. It never really led to any sort of advantageous outcomes for us. And to that, like that's a true statement. But the idea that torture doesn't work in general is such an absurd statement that you can't even quantify how stupid it is.
And Gitmo specifically, one of the main reasons Gitmo didn't work because you were torturing people who did not have information.
Exactly.
Right. That
wasn't the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're torturing someone who doesn't know shit, yeah, of course it's not going to work. But if you torture someone who does, if a fighter pilot lands and you want the coordinates to his home base, yeah, torturing him is going to work. But when you have people in Afghanistan or Iraq and they're you got, rival goat herders, and the guy's like, oh, that goat herder, he works with a terrorist, and they arrest him, and he has no information. You take him to Cuba, you can torture him all day long. Nothing's gonna happen. So yeah, more grandstanding. People like saying that shit.
TJ,
all right,
so we are done here at 8:00, right?
Oh yes.
Right. So we probably got another solid segment here. Go ahead and pick. I don't really care which one we talk about.
Well, I don't. All right. So I feel like we have to talk about the Super Bowl because it's so topical that, just run that. It's been so long since I've been a conservative that I have a hard time putting myself in their mindset with the culture war stuff, because even back when I was a conservative, I was never a giant culture war soldier in that and everything. I never really understood how people were all the rancor towards gay marriage and stuff like that. And the Bad Bunny thing, first off, I did not know who Bad Bunny was. I know I'm an old man here or whatever, but I saw a meme that was me. I thought Bad Bunny was the Catch Me Outside girl. Like I didn't know who Bad Bunny actually was. But so Yeah, I do kind of I do understand if someone is annoyed that the Super Bowl halftime show is 100% in Spanish. All right, I kind of got that. I couldn't tell you one Bad Bunny song. I don't speak Spanish. I was like, okay, well, this isn't for me. That's as far as I can see it getting, though. Of like, oh, well, I would rather it be someone else. But I would take these folks more seriously if they didn't bitch and complain about every Super Bowl performance I've ever seen. When is the last one they actually liked? When is the last time they liked a Super Bowl performance? It's like, oh, this is too much. The young people.
Maybe.
When was that? I don't even remember when that was.
That was when I was a kid. That was a good one. But he wasn't like super lib at that point yet, so I can't imagine they had problems with Bruce.
I'm shocked they wouldn't have. Well, actually, I'm not, because they think "Born in the USA" is like a patriotic song.
I assumed that they were cool with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, and so
I was young at that time to be part of the culture war.
They've just recently turned on Bruce Springsteen because they found out, like, oh, he's actually been shitting on Reagan and everything the whole time. So maybe they didn't, but yeah, I see why you wouldn't want it, but I don't understand. There's a Megyn Kelly clip, John. Have you seen it, where her just seething with rage about the fact that this guy speaks Spanish? Only 40 million people speak Spanish in the United States. 310 million people don't. And it's like, okay, I don't get it. Like, you guys are the capitalists, right? Like, you guys understand business, and that the NFL has saturated the market when it comes to the United States, right? They can't get any bigger. Of course, they're going to go for international audience or for oh, here we go.
Yeah, so I have the Megyn Kelly clip here, and I'll go ahead and play it.
But to get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers in the United States? We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country. We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
Okay, what?
Wow, I hadn't seen the whole clip. Wow.
The rest is there, that Pierce Morgan owning her, and I really don't need to watch Pierce Morgan owning someone because it's always sad to watch because he does a good job there. But anyway, a couple things here, TJ. First of all, totally okay that you don't know who Bad Bunny is. You are, old enough to be his grandfather. But that album right there, that's his album. That one album of the year.
Of course, John.
I fucking love Bad Bunny. Now, this might surprise some of you, but I don't really speak fucking Spanish. I speak un poquito, muy poquito español, and I'm learning. I have a Spanish-speaking wife. Some of her family members only speak Spanish, so it's something I'm learning. It's something that I'm taking pride in learning. But I don't need to understand a single word of this album, because also, by the way, he's not speaking Spanish. He's speaking Puerto Rican, which, if you don't know, is two separate fucking things. It's like trying to say that, like, fucking
what?
Like someone in like the deep south of Louisiana is speaking English. Like, yeah, technically they're speaking English, but I can't understand what they're saying either, right? Puerto Rico has a very specific dialect. Like when I ask my wife, like, hey, what did he mean by that? She's like, I can't even explain this.
Oh, okay.
This doesn't make any sense if you were to actually try to translate it to English.
Oh, I see.
But anyway, you don't have to fucking understand what music is saying in order to enjoy it. Like, it actually blows my mind that the whole Spanish thing is part of it at all, because why do you need to know what they're saying? Have you never listened to foreign language music? Have you just shut yourself off from foreign language music for no reason? Because it's fucking awesome. Give me some fucking Rammstein. I have no idea what the fuck they're saying, but it makes me want to run through a brick wall. Like, I love that shit, and I cannot believe that people purposely don't listen to music that isn't in English. You're just cordoning yourself off from a bunch of shit you might enjoy because you're afraid you're going to get, I don't know, called gay by your Republican friends. Like, that blows my mind. I actually feel sad for people that feel that way. But like the political shit about this, the culture war shit about this is so insane because Bad Bunny's American. Bad Bunny is an American citizen. Puerto Ricans are American citizens. As she said, she was like, oh, well, 130 million don't speak Spanish, but like 40 million do. And we've had every single fucking show be in all English. So I don't know, maybe one being in Spanish, mathematically, actually, it's still not representative. So what the fuck is your problem, bro? Like, I don't understand why conservatives, and this probably goes to some Democrats too, but like just people in general sort of thing. But conservatives really have a problem when something isn't made for them. Like, they fucking hate anything that isn't explicitly made for them. I don't get it, TJ. Like, it's insane to me to just like have that much of hatred. It's like fucking teenage boys where they're like, or like middle school boys are like, oh, I can't like Taylor Swift because cooties. Like, you can like Taylor Swift. You can like whatever the fuck you want to like. Don't take personal responsibility. Be a fucking man. Like, just like what you like and don't fucking be a bitch about it. Like, it's insane to me that these people haven't matured past the fucking 5th grade.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I do get if you don't understand the language of a song, you're less.
I get not enjoying the song.
Yeah,
I get like personally being like, oh, that's not my cup of tea.
Totally get it. Totally
fine,
get it.
no problem.
And
but like to be upset about it,
the seething,
like what the fuck?
The seething rage from Megyn Kelly in that clip was it's the worst one I saw. I didn't see anyone else because. Look, I hear that I feel like a lot of it is just performative. It's just that, it's people getting upset for, I got to press 1 for English, those folks. I see why they're, but man, being annoyed that the Super Bowl performer is not an artist you like or in a language you don't speak, I get it. But holy shit, like she was going to strangle somebody. Like she was going to pop an aneurysm or something like that. And her saying that the Super Bowl is supposed to be a unifying event for America. Since fucking when? Well, it's not the NFL's job to unify America. They're playing a football game. That's it. Their job is to make money. They go where the money is. And Mark says, your show is so easy because there are so many dumb right-wingers out there. It's such a cherry pick to find idiots saying idiot things. Oh, yeah, I know. Like the unknown conservatives like Megyn Kelly or, Donald Trump going after Bad Bunny.
Yeah, like Donald Trump went after this halftime show, bro. Like, I don't know what we're not cherry picking.
Congressman Randy Fine said he wanted to open a federal investigation. This is just random right-wingers saying shit. This is like the big dogs that are running this entire campaign. So yeah, it is and we didn't even talk about the funniest part about this was the alternate halftime show from Turning Point USA. Incredible. This is something that I noticed very early on with conservatives is that conservatives lose control of institutions for a lot of reasons. One, they're incompetent and they're uneducated, and a lot of times their thoughts don't stand up to, or their ideas don't stand up to critical thought. So what they do is instead of strengthening their movement is, we got to, work on some logic
down the
here.
institution that rejected them.
Yeah, they build their own. Their own. That's why Fox News exists, right? There's actually, John, I don't know if you've run across this. Have you ever run across Conservapedia? Have you ever seen this?
No.
There's a conservative Wikipedia. It's been out there for a long time. I think ever since I was in college, like a million years ago. But I remember Wikipedia is too liberal. Wikipedia is owned by the cabal, the liberal elites. So you can go there and find conservative explanations to everything on the planet. This is what conservatives do. And so it's like, well, instead of, you know what this weird about this? I heard someone mention this. I'm so mad I didn't think about this. Why did they go with Kid Rock? Because if I were Turning Point USA and I'm trying to put on the right-wing Super Bowl, you have Kanye West, you have Nicki Minaj, right? Those are actual, legitimate, solid artists that are very popular, and they certainly could have been a bigger draw, and it wouldn't have been embarrassing. Why not? I don't get it.
Well, TJ, there's a couple answers to those questions. I don't know which ones are true. It could be one or all of these. A, Turning Point USA cannot afford Kanye West or Nicki Minaj. That's why they chose Kid Rock. B, Kanye West would not lower himself to performing the alternate halftime show. And I know it's crazy. He's lowered himself to a whole of a lot of shit, but no, it's hard for the NFL to attract halftime show performers, by the way. Like they
don't pay them
historically. They don't pay them.
They don't pay them.
The last two halftime shows are probably two of the greatest halftime shows ever, just because it's the only 2 times where we've ever had an artist perform at the peak of their popularity. With Bad Bunny winning Grammy Album of the Year this year, with Kendrick, the whole Drake thing. I mean, that'll never be touched. Like that's going to be the greatest halftime show of my life and probably all time, just for that reason. But historically, it's not a great gig. Like historically, it's not a very sought after gig. So to go to the alternate halftime show for the fucking Nazis. Yeah, it's just like career movie. Like your fucking PR guys, like, no, don't fucking do it. They're not even paying you. Oh yeah, definitely don't fucking do it. Like, he's just not there. He's not gonna. Only Kid Rock. Are they able to get for even like all the country singers? They could think about all the MAGA country singers.
Yeah,
who had the opportunity to take that. You're fucking like, did Garth Brooks perform? Maybe he did. I don't know. But like Garth Brooks,
Brooks isn't a conservative.
That's beneath me. Like only Kid Rock would fucking degrade himself to because he wants to be that. Like that's all he has now. He's the fucking artist that is fucking MAGA. Like that's his entire shtick. It's the only thing that puts asses in seats for him. So that's why he's there and no one else is, because anyone with actual talent and popularity isn't going to degrade themselves like that.
Well, Garth Brooks is a fucking lib, so he wouldn't do it. It'd have to be
maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that my country singing, they're all the same. Like you know how like people are like, yo, like all country singers look the same to me. They're all the same person. They all have the same fucking names. Like that I don't even know how people don't see this.
Yeah, the name
Garth Brooks from fucking Toby Keith. Like
yeah, the names are like country names are fun. Like I don't know how to describe it, but there are names that just sound like country singer. Like I feel like Tud Truckley. Oh, that's a country singer, right? It's like nope, just made it up. It's like it's so yeah, it is pretty funny. I don't know.
Ted Nugent, someone's coming. Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent.
In fact, until you just mentioned that, I thought Ted Nugent and Kid Rock were the same person. Like in my mind, I like if you showed me a picture of Kid Rock and a picture of Ted Nugent, I couldn't tell you which one was.
Ted Nugent is significantly older than Kid Rock, I'm pretty sure. And Ted Nugent was big in the 70s, I think, or 80s, I think at least. But Ted Nugent is he's been an outspoken conservative media figure or musician for a long time, since I was a kid, I think. And Ted Nugent. This is a true story. You guys can fact check me on this. Ted Nugent, while he was touring back in the day, he started, raping, I guess is the correct word, an underage girl. She was like 16, I think. And he wanted to take her on tour with him, but it was illegal for him, to be in this relationship. So he got permission from her parents to adopt her. And he adopted her as his daughter so he could continue having sex with her throughout the rest of the tour. That's a true story. And that guy loved by conservative. He's like decades. Like he would show up to every conservative event. He was always playing. They're always hyping. I was like, oh, you guys got all your rock stars and everything. We got Ted fucking Nugent. If you're willing to embrace conservative thought, they will love you, and which is why like all these bottom of the barrel celebrities are risen so far to the top. Which makes it really sting when someone who's actually talented like Kanye West goes, actually he's just a Nazi, and that didn't stop them either. The fact that Kanye West is a Nazi, they still love him, man.
Well, at least in Kanye West's defense, he's actually good at making music, unlike Kid Rock and like at least he's got that. See, Mark, I do love picking on you, Mark. See, these criticisms of conservative thought are not fair or balanced or accurate. See, Mark, that would assume like that they aren't warranted, because we do attack conservatives more because we think that they are wrong more. But it's not like we don't attack leftist thought. Like it's not like we don't attack liberal thought. We attack all schools of thought. We happen to disagree with conservatives more, but it's not unfair. It's not unbalanced. It is, from our perspective of thinking these ideas are correct, it is consistent all the way through. It's not unfair. Like you can say it's biased, and it is biased.
It is biased.
Admit that openly, but it is fair. You will not see. I would love for you to point out a case where we have criticized conservatives or Republicans for something that we refuse to criticize liberals, progressives, or leftists for. Like we are very consistent with our criticisms.
It's certainly accurate. I am insulted by the not accurate part. That part really bothers me because you can say it's not fair, balanced. I don't care. Because look. The example I always use.
News argued in court that they're not news; they're entertainment. Like this is them themselves. Like they're the ones who said we aren't building a news institution. We're building an entertainment platform for conservatives. That's just that.
Wait, like I've given this example like a dozen times on the show. John's probably sick of hearing it, but it's a great one when I talk about the difference between objectivity and neutrality. And that, yeah, I'm going to be objective in my thoughts here, but I'm not going to be neutral. And if I talk about geography, it's going to be from an anti-flat Earth bias. If I can get up here and I can say, yeah, the world is obviously round. Like we discovered this thousands of years ago. Eratosthenes, he measured the circumference of the Earth 2,000 years ago and got it to within like 5%. We've known this for a long fucking time. Anyone telling you the Earth is flat has not done the research, or they're just straight out lying to you. You can't come up and say, you're not being fair to flat earthers. Yes, the fuck I am. Of course I'm being fair. That's the reality. And John, I pulled up here Conservapedia, because my whole argument was that conservatives reject institutions and create their own facades, their own nonsense. And the Conservapedia was an example of this. I went to Conservapedia. Now you tell me how fair and objective this is. Wikipedia is just full of liberal bias, right? Conservapedia, I'm sure that they got this right. Here is Barack Obama's entry in Conservapedia. Barack Hussein Obama II, reportedly born in Honolulu, Hawaii, sometimes known as Bathhouse Barry, was the 44th president of the United States, elected as America's first.
I've never heard that in my life, TJ.
John,
we do this on a consistent. I've never heard Bathhouse Barry.
You say this, John, but there's an annotation there. Like there's a footnote. There's right there. So his source somewhere. Bathhouse Barry was the 44th president of the United States, elected as America's first, in quotes, post-racial president, according to the mainstream fake news media. Obama exacerbated racial tensions and left the dismal legacy of a divided America along Marxist, class, racial, and gender normative lines. In his final year of office, Barack Obama illegally meddled in the 2016 election and then attempted to blame the Russians for it, despite Obama's own collusion with Russia years prior. Look, that's one fucking paragraph, right? That is one fucking paragraph of Conservapedia. They rejected the liberal bias of Wikipedia. Said, no, we're going to create our own thing right here. We're going to get it right. And it's just like, it's your drunk uncle. Like there's no intellectual curiosity. There's no honesty. And that's just, yeah. I have no patience for people saying that, oh, you're not being fair to the right wingers. Yeah.
It's so funny that like, as you're making this analogy with like the geography, the anti-flat earth bias, like Mark is literally speaking to the point that you're making. He says, no, you're being unfair. You generally pretend that conservatives are dumb and liberals are smart. That thread runs through your views all the time. And here's the thing, Mark, that doesn't mean that we're being unfair. Like that's just not how things work, right? Like if I'm being unfair, that means I'm saying a liberal doing the same thing as a conservative is being smarter than them. That would be unfair. If they both did the same exact thing and I said the liberal was smarter and the conservative was dumb, well, it would be unfair of me to say that, right? But if the liberal did a smart thing and the conservative did a dumb thing, it would be unfair to say they both have equal value. That would be unfair, right? Like that's the whole fucking point we're making, is that we will call the same balls and strikes for liberals and conservatives. It's just from our own admittedly biased perspective, the fucking Republicans, the conservatives have a lot more fucking strikes, right? That's just how it is. And again, you can say whatever you want, but you guys go further. Conservatives are not smart and able to have intelligent thought. Some of them are. There are many conservatives that are able to have intelligent thought. Unfortunately, the one who leads the conservative movement is not. Donald Trump is not capable of speaking intelligently about any policy that he is putting forward. He just cannot do it. He has maybe done it once or twice, but consistently every day you will see clips of Donald Trump having the most asinine comments about the policy that he is putting forward himself. It is not intelligent. It is not. And so if you are like, oh, the leader of our movement is this guy, you're going to get shit for that, bro. Like if you continue to support that leader as the leader of your ideology, you're going to get shit on for being dumb because you're supporting the dumb guy. And it's not cherry picking. He's the fucking president. Like it blows my mind, TJ. And Mark is capable of having an intelligent.
This is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah,
it's the reason that we continue to communicate with him like this. He's capable of it, and it's just, and we are just mind blown why he continues to support the guy to represent him who isn't.
And yeah, it's like, listen, yeah, like the more educated you get, the more liberal you become. That this is consistent. There is never deviation from this. Like when you see a large segment of people, the more educated, the more informed they are, the less likely they are to believe in conservative thought, because conservative thought is based on intuition and gut feelings and instinct a lot of times, right? It's like the Australian model of economics isn't even based on empirical data. They come right out and say it.
Not Australia.
Austria, sorry, the Austrian model. Sorry, the Austrian model.
Conservatives are so dumb. They don't even know about the Australian
they don't even know about the shrimp on the Barbie markets or whatever. No, and so sorry,
see, I'm gonna blast TJ for saying it.
Happens, yeah,
that's fair.
And oh shit, what was I gonna say here? And one thing I always say is that and if we want to talk about that's right, conservatives, like the conservatives who are the most intellectual, the leaders, whatever, like Mark or whatever, I would say significantly less conservative than the idiots, right? Yeah, significantly less conservative. The less educated and the more rube and the more superstitious you are. Like, for example, you will never find a left-wing flat earther. You will not find one. Like I challenge you.
You probably will.
Okay, you find one. I will find
not
you
one of
1,000.
Any prominence or relevance.
You find one left-wing flat earther, I will find you 1,000 conservative flat earthers. If you talk to a flat earther, you know they're never going to say something like, "Oh yeah, I think that universal health care is a good idea. I think that we really need to, globalize the economy." That's not going to happen. They're going to have their backwards, ridiculous beliefs. And I'm sorry, John, I got to cut off that shit. We didn't even know.
That's okay. Like again, Mark, you're saying the more educated you are, the more liberal you become. That's just true.
That's true. That is true. What do you want from me?
It's like, that's not an unfair. That's an observation of physical reality. That the more education someone has, the more liberal they become. Like that is an observable fucking trait. But yeah, yeah. And he says, I question if Trump truly leads the conservative movement. He said the Republican Party.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
When Biden was the president, the leftists fucking hated him. We went to fucking war with him every day. The leftist progressive movement was not headed by Joe Biden because you could see we were there fucking protesting him, calling him a genocide enabler. You do not see that from the smart conservatives. You do not see them going to war with President Trump. You do not see them like accusing him of committing war crimes and crimes against you. Like you just don't see that. It just doesn't happen. And so that's why we say he's the leader of the movement, because if it's not him, then who? Then who? Who's standing up to him? I don't see it. Besides Thomas Massey. If Thomas Massey's your leader, then okay, cool.
That's right. Oh, all right. Anything to wrap it up, John? Sorry, I got a heart out here. But any other final thoughts?
And we will be back. Will we be back on Tuesday? Are you here Tuesday?
Tuesday. I'll be here Tuesday.
We'll be back on Tuesday. Join us here 6:35 EST for our Q&A show. Until then, we will see you guys later.
Later, folks.